Hallo allemaal, welkom bij een nieuwe Heartsong interview. De interviewshow waarbij ik inspirerende mensen ontvang en spreek over een nieuwe aarde, de nieuwe tijd, de tijd waar we in zitten en hoe we meer weer vanuit die liefde en de verbinding met het hart kunnen leven. Vandaag een hele mooie en bijzondere gast die ik al een tijdje ken. Ian Graham. Ik spreek zo meteen in het Engels, want het is een Engelsman, dus ik switch zo meteen naar het Engels. We gaan een mooi gesprek hebben over zijn werk. Hij channelt al heel erg lang, al 40 jaar, White Bull. Wat dat allemaal is, daar gaan we vandaag achter komen. Maar ik kan je vertellen dat het heel bijzonder is. Heel erg raak en to the point. Dus vlieg met ons mee in dit interview over liefde en over de nieuwe tijd. Ian Graham, so welcome in this interview. I already introduced you a little bit. You have been channeling a beautiful being, group of beings called White Bull. So welcome in this interview show. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on this. I just have to offer one correction to your introduction. I'm Scottish, not English.
Ah, and that's of course a very big difference.
It's not that big, but
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
I identify very much as
It's
a
like these stupid Dutch, like, okay, England is this whole thing somewhere at the other side of the sea.
I'm
I'm
not as
sorry, you're Scottish.
as I'm going to Scotland next week. I'm thinking in my Scottish identity at the moment rather than my
I'm
but
so happy to be speaking with you, White Bull. I've met you a few times in sessions, and it's always very raak, very touching, and what White Bull offers, what you offer. After the last session, I bought your book with a very funny title. God is nooit te laat, maar hij is ook nooit te vroeg. En met channelings, the wisdom and the humor of White Bull. Where do we start? Because you've been channeling White Bull for 40 years now, and maybe you can start off a little bit with what does it mean to channel White Bull, and who is White Bull?
well, good question. Who is White Bull? I can't really give an honest answer to that because I'm absolutely not very sure. For me, the name is almost irrelevant. When I first started, and it came into my life when I was, I always said I didn't have a spiritual bone in my body. It was out of the blue. It was not anything I believed in. And suddenly one day there he was. There's a bit of a build up to it, but and I was in a group who other people were developing as channels, and they were all channeling Native Americans as well. And I think that then Weibel's name came. And for me as a skeptic, it was very important to have some kind of clear identity to hold on to, because I just didn't know what was really happening to me. So for a long time, yes, White Bull for me was this Native American spirit. And he has appeared to people in their living rooms as this big Indian with the headdress and what have you.
Wow.
But me, the point is that White Bull for me the name represents a level of consciousness. I go into a trance that a big fat Indian's coming into my body, because as he says, when he leaves my body, he's no longer White Bull, he's just spirit. So I think it's important for people to have a name to hold on to. They can build a story around it. I had a story also given to me when it first happened to me, that he had been a Sioux Indian, a Lakota as they're called, and he was killed at the Battle of Wounded Knee in 1890. And this gave me some kind of identity to hold on to. But like I said, now it's almost irrelevant to me, because the most important thing is his message. People ask him, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am my message."
Can you tell something about what did it give you, and you in the 40 years you've seen a lot of people who have come to visit you in groups and in individual as one-on-one. What could you say about what did it give you, and what did it give the people? Can you say something about that?
Well, what it gave me, I think most importantly, was it gave me an identity of my own, because I come from a family where there was a very strong link to the work of my grandfather in India. And I didn't, because I hadn't found my job, my task, that was really the only identity I had, was to be my grandfather's grandson. In fact, I would go to parties in London. I'd be introduced, "Oh, this is Dr. Graham's grandson," not "This is Ian." And I kind of hid behind that. So when White Bull came into my life, it was a challenge for my family because I was also always brought up always with a message from my mother, what will people think? What will people think? Well, what will people think when I tell them I'm channeling an Indian? Um, so I had to get past completely any concern about what people would think.
Yes.
And it helped me to break away from that family identification and to become my own person. Because in the family, this was, I was instantly the black sheep of the family. So that was also a challenge. And a lot of friends fell away at the time also. I can understand. But what it has given me, as well as an identity, the identity part is also interesting because having given me an identity as White Bull's instrument, the journey has then been to go beyond identity of even that. So, I mean, when people say, what do you do? It depends who they are and what I think their beliefs are. But sometimes I say, well, I belong to the second oldest profession in the world because
Mm.
always there's been somebody in the tribe who's been the one to make the connection between the two, heaven and earth. I have various ways of describing it. If I'm really brave, I will say what I do. It's easier now, and certainly living in a town like Zutphen is much easier because
Oh yeah.
it's probably one of the few places in the world where I can give an honest answer. And it's brought me a wonderful circle of friends. It's brought me, I met wonderful people through it. It's brought me a job where I can be of service.
Ah yeah.
And service is kind of running in my family.
Mm.
So it's in my DNA. I was always, I think, somehow going to be living a life of service.
Hmm.
It brought me onto this path of service, which is now more accepted. But when it first started, it was 40 years ago. It wasn't known.
Of course. Yeah.
And I've made more things out of it too. So I do my independent individual sessions like you've had, but I thought, well, okay, I want to make my life a bit more interesting. So now I organize retreats and I take
Hmm.
tours places to Bhutan, to Egypt, to Greece. So yeah, I've made also something else out of it for myself.
Mm. Mm.
And here I am, and busier than ever. I mean, it's amazing. I think that's because so many people are feeling lost. This is the message I hear so often from people calling me, Ian, can I talk to White Bull? I feel so lost. Maybe he will talk about this experience afterwards when he comes through. Um, yeah, so it's brought me a lot. I mean, it, and then who is White Bull? Well, I really don't know. Maybe am I White Bull? Is it my higher self? Is it something?
Hmm.
Uh, it in a way doesn't matter to me now because I trust in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I prove myself.
Yeah.
Um, I had one funny experience though. I met a neighbor because I have no connection with White Bull myself. He never talks to me.
Oh.
He doesn't talk to me ever. And I met a neighbor once, and she said, "Oh, Ian," she said, "I've just been to have a reading with a lady in Appledorn." And suddenly she said, "My God, there's a big Indian standing in the corner of the room. He says he says he's White Bull. He knows you." And so White Bull gave the answer to my neighbor's questions through the medium.
Wow.
Very impressive sight. So when I heard this, I thought, okay, finally, this is the sign. I now know where to go, and I'll be able to get a lovely message from White, which will say, "Thank you, my instrument, for all the hard work you're doing." My ego wanted a little bit of a pat on the back. Moved along, and no sign of White. But then she said, "Well, I don't get it. What do you do?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm the medium for White Bull." And oh, she said, "Yes." It was extraordinary. This huge Indian appeared in the corner of the room. She said, "I'm afraid he's not here for you. Your relationship is business only."
Wow.
It's quite
It is pretty funny, isn't it?
business only. But I know that if I did have access to him, I'd be asking him things all the time. So I'm afraid,
Yeah, okay, okay.
okay, Ian, this is your life. You get on with it by yourself. I'm
Yeah.
not to support you all the time. Do it by myself. Yeah, yeah.
It is very special. Yeah, it must be a very special relationship. Of course, you say it's business only, but somehow there must be a very deep, and whatever it is, but there must be some sort of very deep connection, of course.
Yes. There's sometimes I've threatened with divorce, but
Sorry?
There have been times when I've threatened him with divorce.
Yeah.
To-
Yeah, is it like that? Is it like a blessing and a curse?
yes, it is a little bit. Sometimes, or somebody once said to me, of course, Bible owns you. And in a way, that's true, because with it's perhaps an unkind way of putting it, but with a vocation, which I really believe this is what God has called me to do, there's no way you can break away from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way I could stop it.
Yeah. And isn't that, sorry?
I think I should be like Queen Elizabeth II. I'll be working to the day before I die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's no way escaping it.
no escaping it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Which also so gives some sort of freedom because it's like, okay, this is it. So I better rest in it or something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because people come to Whiteboard and say, "What am I here to do? What is my job?" And I never had to think that. It just was given to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to ask myself, "What am I here to do?" It just came, handed.
Mm-hmm. Is this one of the big questions that you already said it, and I'll ask it White Bull too. What you already said about the feeling being lost, and is what are the main questions that come to you? Is it like this? What am I doing here on this planet? Is this?
Yeah. Well, because I don't remember the sessions when they're over, but people tell me things, and some people I've known for a very long time, and they tell me their stories. So a lot of people come about relationships. That's a big one. But yes, about life purpose, about directions in life, about how to find greater inner peace, and yeah,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
on.
the big themes of life.
The big themes of life.
Well, I think if it's okay for you, we can dive into this and then invite White Bull in, see if he's ready to come along and ask him some questions.
He's probably had his first pipe by now. He'll be ready to start. Okay. Wonder what I should explain something first.
Yeah, do please do.
I think that how I see what happens when I close my eyes to go into a trance. It's rather like if you can imagine a spotlight, the rays thinning out from the source of the light, and somewhere in the middle of that ray of light is White Bull, and I'm about a centimeter off the ground. So my task is to raise myself up to that level of consciousness. So I have my little ritual that I do, and as it's happening, I feel a lot of energy coming into my body. I feel myself expanding. And the last thing I remember is actually when he starts to speak. And after that, I'm not completely unconscious, but I have no memory of it afterwards.
Mm.
And I'm saying things, and I think, wow, right, well, that's cool, good stuff. And at the end of the session, I can remember thinking, that's cool, but I have no memory at all of what was being said.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I use that to explain my bad memory, that it's trained to delete very quickly. And so yes, it takes 1 or 2 minutes, and then, well, the way he starts speaking and so on. And yeah, well, let's see. Okay, door is shut. Yeah,
Okay. See you later, Ian.
see you later, Jasper. See you later. Greetings. I am White Bull. Hello, dear friends. A very warm welcome. I'm delighted to come into your presence. Maybe you'll even feel my presence with you also. We are living in a very small corner of your universe, and presence is not something defined by space or limited by space. And I hope as you hear my message, you will feel a little bit of me with you also. And I come with one desire, of course, which is to serve and to bring a message of upliftment, of optimism, of freedom, of peace, of love, all these things, of course. To be able to prepare you to live your life on earth now with greater joy, greater ease, and greater faith. Perhaps faith is the most important word of those that I have mentioned, because it is in your faith that there is your power, and in your faith and in your power, therefore, is the certainty that all will be well, that all is turning out all right. And to have that faith invites to your side the great forces of light that are going to be working through you, supporting you, creating magic in your lives. Be open to magic. That's an important part of our message at this time. So that's a little introduction, but I'm sure, dear friend, you have something to say too.
Hello, White Bull. It's so great to meet you again, to be with you again. And indeed, I do feel your presence, and I do hope that the listeners and the viewers will have that too. And I have no doubt about it.
Nice, because hopefully it'll even stimulate their own presence to emerge, because this is one of the most important contributions people can make, is to be
That's
able,
beautiful.
rather like a rose releases its perfume.
Hmm.
Souls release the power of presence.
And already you give an answer to one of the questions that I have, and it has to do with that. Like you already said, you bring in a message of optimism and faith. And isn't there a greater time to be in that kind of energy than right now, as we are going through in our planet to be to yeah.
We're all to be congratulated for choosing to be born at this time, because there's never been a time like it. And you're here on Earth for the first time, experiencing so many changes, transformations, so many shifts of consciousness, so many journeys of freedom that are taking place. That is why so many people are choosing to incarnate on Earth at this time, because there are these energies available for real change to happen, for healing.
Yes.
So this is a wonderful time to be on Earth. And of course, I represent just one tiny, tiny, tiny part of the support that is available to you from the unseen world.
Mm-hmm.
I like to talk about the spirit world and the physical world. There's only one world. There's only one world.
Mm-hmm.
Some bodies, some of us are not. But it's one world, and we're moving together. We're sharing this journey with you. We're not separate from you. If you had the eyes to see, you would think, well, it's a bit crowded in here tonight, as you'd be aware of all the beings around you, rather like different species of fish swimming in the same sea.
Yeah. Can you tell something about it? Because, well, what I said, you already give answer, just this presence that is just such an amazing power. But can you say something about why are we as a species so lost? Individually, people can feel so lost, but also it seems like humankind has lost itself or has lost its origin. Well, why are we so lost?
Yes. Well, there are several answers to that. I would say one reason why mankind has lost its way is because of what I call a kind of spiritual bankruptcy. In other words, that there's always a choice which master you're going to serve, and some are very seductive, and some are driven by fear, some are driven by insecurity. So people are turning their backs upon their own core being to allow that to be the best guide in life, and are finding comfort and satisfaction in other ways. Secondly, I would say, is one quality missing for humanity that needs to sweep over the whole world is forgiveness. Because
Mm,
forgiveness, as I teach it, is the releasing of the past. And so many people are acting out in their lives, nations, individuals, because of what has happened in their past. But if you're able to release the past, which is the same thing as I teach you to forgive, then when the past is not there, harmony can be restored. Friendship, love between nations can be restored. There'll
mm,
be history to dig up again and again and again, to repeat the same old patterns. So this is something that is happening now. Great forces of light are being focused upon your planet, and they are love, and love brings to the surface anything unlike itself. So a lot of poison is coming to the surface, is being acted out, but it is part of the cleansing process. We don't want anybody to be despairing. What is coming to the world? Wonderful things are coming to the world, but first the wounds have to be cleansed. And now available the way to cleanse these wounds if people will really listen and be aware and are ready to change. And some people now, without even making a conscious choice to do so, are almost being dragged, sometimes against their will, it might seem, into a process of change. That change may be enforced letting go of things they hold dear. It may be separations. It may be all kinds of things they're being asked to let go of. And it's rather sometimes, as I describe it, if you can imagine being sent off to your planet in a rocket. And for a while, you're held in the gravitational pull of your planet. But then you break away from that and you're floating in space. There's no sense of direction or dimension or speed. You're just hanging there. This is why people feel they are lost. There's no direction. There's no way of knowing where they're going. Even if there is a destination, some people can't even see a destination for themselves at this time. It's like life between lives. And then eventually you'll connect to the gravitational pull of another reality. And there you are. You become part of the new world, you are born again. You're born again. This is creating the new heaven and the new earth. First, there has to be the death. And the death to the old identities, the death to the attachments, the death to the false ideas of right and wrong and good and bad, the death to old enmities, the death of identities. So many people are going through their own death, but it's also a rebirth. And it's scary, of course, for many people who've been strongly identified with the material world, with all the mind has created for them. It's very scary. I call the journey a one of moving from direction to dimension. And people find they can't go forward in the direction they once thought they could, but they are being raised up. They are being lifted up.
Yeah. It is a pretty harsh way of coming from this old stubborn thing to a new earth, to a new time. And I mean the harsh way is like especially when we focus on the areas where the wars are going on, and when you talk about forgiveness, I can fully relate, and I love that subject very dearly and very deeply, and I believe in it. But I also see that, oh my God, the pain that must be forgiven at this moment seems so immeasurably big and deep when you talk about these areas of really war and abuse and all these things. Yeah, well, it's like I believe in it, and I see that it's possible, and we need the forces of light with us to create these waves of light. But what needs to happen in human consciousness to take these steps and to step out of this war?
Well, the human consciousness needs to be ready to welcome amongst them the real leaders. Real leaders are not going to be ones who are going to say we're going to give you more money, less tax to pay, and all material levels. About the relation to the lower chakras. It's about leaders who are going to appear to bring people up into the higher chakras, into the higher. And it can work. It has worked in some nations already, where a visionary leader can literally transform the consciousness of a country and the path that a country will take. These are people who I call the sacred kings. They're the ones who may not be going around in a crown, not at all, but they are having the heart of the king, the true king, the sacred king, who's able, from a place of absolute modesty, but with absolute faith, command not the obedience, but the inspiration, and be affecting humanity with their example. And people will want to follow. But they have an authority greater than any politician has ever had, greater than any religious leader has ever had. This is what we want people to pray for, that these leaders will show themselves. They're all there. They're there now. but they're not going to show themselves now because probably they'd be killed immediately.
Yeah.
So is humanity really ready to have such a leader, to follow such a leader? Because it's going to ask to give up a lot. All the great teachers, spiritual teachers, the founders of religions, let's take the Master Jesus, for example. People followed him, but they had to pay a big price for it. But
Hmm.
because they knew, they recognized here was the king, the true king. And as I always say, Jesus was never more a king than when he was washing the feet of his disciples.
Wow.
That's where he showed his real leadership, his real humility, his lack of importance in himself. I think an essential quality for anybody in any leadership role has to be a complete lack of self-importance.
Beautiful.
That is the way. That's what needs to emerge. Any individual can realize that themselves.
Hmm.
To have no sense of self-importance, to be willing to let go of that identity. Then they will have the power. Then they'll have the authenticity and the authority. And people will listen.
Mm.
If you are coming from your ego, it won't have any impact at all. It'll simply push the button of another ego.
Yeah.
So this is what we see, dear one, is going to affect the change.
Hmm.
And that everybody can find that quality within themselves, even in their own family, amongst their circle of friends. It's just a willingness to let go of what seems a good life, but actually is a kind of a comfort zone, but a comfort zone is a stagnation zone. Are they willing to step out of their stagnation? Are they willing to show themselves?
Hmm.
And then life will be for them. The grace and the energies that are coming to earth will be for them. Miracles are about to happen.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful what you're saying, and now I get some sort of this vision of these huge waves of light, and they're coming anyway. And in some places, and some people, and some parts of the human consciousness, it is awakening, and many hearts actually. And but the waves are coming anyway, and in some parts, is actually what you already said. But it's really a bit stuck, and so it just creates this onooglijk, something that you really, it's like the more stuck it is, the more dirty it becomes in a way.
Exactly, exactly. But even then, the forces will come to move it on. It's rather like the contractions of giving birth. If there's a baby gets stuck in the birth canal, then the midwife tells the mother, push harder, push harder. And so all humanity has to find the strength to push harder, to, to step into the unknown.
Yeah. And you give the message of faith and hope, and by the way, this new earth, many people are adapting to this idea right now at this moment, 2024. But you and your channel have been saying this for many decades now. So I really love that, you know. So it's now it's a very yeah, common idea, but it's been there already for a long time. But anyway, this feeling of hope and certainty and faith, is this, what is it based on? Because when we look now, when I feel it too, and I trust in it too, but somehow when I look around, I do see and I do feel also something, so much despair and fear, and in so many parts of the world. Why are you so certain and faithful?
Well, first of all, I do not like the word hope. For many people, it represents part of a very old pattern because some people have been hoping for something all of their lives. And hope has a traveling companion. It's called hopelessness, and it goes always together. Now there's
Mm,
hope, now there's hope, now there isn't. So whenever, for example, there's an offer of peace in the world and another war comes, hope becomes hopeless. And that is a pattern that many human beings carry within them. So I would say to everybody, give up hope. A life without hope is not a hopeless life. A life without hope is a life of infinite possibilities. Anything can happen. Hope is a non-acceptance of what is. So you want to be able to stand just to say, okay, this is what is. And yes, I will, with a trustful heart and an open mind, I will allow anything to be possible.
wow.
Hope, you're only limited to something going back, the pendulum swing. backwards and forwards. So that's what I want to say about hope. But yes, so many people are in despair. And what do they need? They need somebody like you, and maybe like others of our dear friends who are listening, to learn what it is to be fully present with another and allow that presence to touch them, and they will start to feel better. Most people, indeed very many people, I would say, have really never had the experience of feeling truly seen and truly heard in the depths of their being, in their innocence, in their purity, in their strength, in their faith. But if some one person is able to do that, that can transform that life. That can open a new vision for them. That connects them to who they truly are. And whether you're floating in space or you're grounded on Earth, it makes no difference to the fact you're always going to be connected to the absolute truth through your faith and through what you deeply know to be true of the oneness of all, including the oneness with Source. We come back, therefore, to the spiritual bankruptcy that many people are feeling also, which is a very sad thing. We don't judge anybody for it. Everybody's being caught up in this wave of attachment and identification with the material reality, which is not wrong in itself, but it must not be that that dictates one's whole belief system and experience of living.
Yeah.
So we want our friends to be able to access that place within them where their true self lies and lives. And then little by little, the rose will release its perfume.
Yeah.
You continue that metaphor. Many people are like the rosebud contained within a membrane, but the rosebud can't open till the membrane dies, and the membrane represents the ego, the mind, the fears, everything that contains it within a certain limitation. But with a trustful heart and an open mind, the rose opens. And opens not just to release its perfume, but to receive the warmth of the light into it. Another thing, many people are very keen to give, much better giving than receiving, but you in truth only can give what you have first received. So I encourage all people to practice receiving. If it's not from a fellow human being, then let it be from the perfume of a rose, the sound of a bee buzzing, from the warmth of the sun. Everything you eat, you're only able to eat because something first received. The apple that you eat is only there because the apple tree first received through every part of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any fruit.
Yeah.
So it's a receiving that feeds you.
Beautiful.
Whatever it is. And the greatest gift you can give to another is the opportunity for them to give to you. And the greatest gift you can give yourself is to discover the equal joy of giving and receiving. So this must be a part of the change, that people have the confidence to be able to receive, to trust life enough to receive. As I said, it doesn't have to be from a fellow human being, it can be from anything in creation, because everything is there giving. This is the most beautiful quality of life itself, generosity.
Yes, yes, it is. It's like you only have to look outside, especially in this time of the year. We're in May. The extreme abundance of the light and the birds and the trees and the of course the roses and the scents and everything. It's like unstopping. Yeah.
A wonderful time to really use your desire to receive all around you. And it provides such wonderful food for the soul.
Yeah.
I think you find a new way to feed their soul. A lot of troubles and fears are there because the mind has the space to run the show, because the soul is hungry. If a soul is well fed, the mind becomes quiet. An overactive mind is a symptom of a hungry soul. So I'd advise anybody to ask yourselves every day, what is my soul hungry for today? And
Yeah.
you find quietness of mind will come. Rather like when you had a wonderful meal yourselves. Oh, you just want to sit back and have a little snooze. It feels there's wonderful food in your stomach to digest it. Well, the soul also wants to be digesting truth. That's the best meal you can give the soul, truth, the absolute truth. What you know is your deeply know is your nature with God, with Source, with life. And the mind
Yeah.
has nothing to say in return. The mind cannot debate it. The mind can't contradict it. The mind can nothing to discuss it because you can't do that to truth. What's the point in looking at the sun, having a conversation about is it round or is it not round? It's round. That is the truth.
Mm.
So the mind needs to be in a new role. I would suggest to all of my friends who may find they spend a lot of time in their heads. It's not a crime, it's not a sin. Some very wonderful things have come out of a thinking mind, but for many of my friends, they're almost addicted to the mind. The mind is in control. And so, therefore, the best thing you can do is to say to your mind, okay, mind, I'm taking some changes now, and I want to offer you promotion. The mind will love this promotion, oh, becoming more important. And the promotion I offer you is instead of me being your slave, you become my servant.
Mm. Yeah.
Then the mind will be very happy with that deal.
Yeah, got some time off, yeah. Yeah, it's just running around in circles, beating itself up actually, yeah?
Exactly, beating you up at the same time.
Yeah,
Because on the end of a lead, like a dog on the end of a lead, is just pulling you everywhere.
yeah, and it's looking for itself actually, and yeah, so the way back, it's really beautiful to feed the soul. So that's really a beautiful insight. Like a busy mind is a hungry soul. So what's your soul hungry for? So I like to repeat it because it's really take it into your day and just ask yourself, what is my soul hungry for? Yeah,
Yes.
and I think this is like, sorry.
Ask your soul, okay, so what's on the diet today? What's on the menu today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you just follow.
You just follow.
Yeah.
And then there become a moment where you just can't resist taking time out every day to just sit and be with your soul.
Mm.
It
Yeah,
can
and then it's
be you love most. It can be to be in nature, it can be to receiving, whatever it is. There's not a good or a bad way to do it. You don't have to apply any kind of morality to it. Our morality is very different to human morality. So don't be ashamed of anything you like to do which makes you feel good. It might also fill your soul, but it may be what somebody else would judge and condemn. It's not their business, it's your life.
yeah. And how do you distinguish the difference between a longing of your soul and a longing of your mind?
With the longing of the mind, you will notice it because it'll create a contraction in your body. The
Mhm.
body will reveal you. Longing of your mind is different from inspiration. And if you feel inspiration, then you have to do something about it because the inspiration can come, and inspiration, as you probably know, very quickly can go again. So inspiration arises unexpectedly out of nowhere because it's not created by the mind. It comes from a source, but it needs the mind to ground it and to give form to it. So therefore, you have to just know the difference and to be able to say, okay, I'm feeling inspired. I need to go to my room. I need to write. I need to do whatever it is to give form to that inspiration. But when the mind is taking control, it's because there's a habit involved. And usually there's a fear involved too. So
Mhm.
what is the fear? What is the insecurity? The mind is a tool, but it needs to be a neutral tool only for good, not to destroy. But if it's going to be working against you, you will feel it in your body. Your
Very
body,
clear.
your body cannot lie.
Yeah, so clear. Yeah.
As you would say, okay, there's tension in my body, and you use a very simple breathing technique to release the tension in your body, well, you'll feel a lot better. The mind will become quiet too.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
And
and
then
here,
speaking to you.
sorry?
You will hear the inner voice speaking to you. This is what so many people miss out on. There's a voice of deepest wisdom and love in the background of everybody's life, but it's blocked out by the chatter of the mind. So, you dear ones, you're missing so much beautiful things because your mind is busy and you cannot hear that still small voice within. It doesn't have an ego, so it's not going to shout and silence anybody else, but it's there. It's the background music. It's the hum of nature. It is the truth is addressing you all the time. I would say generally, a great boost to the wellness of humanity would be less talking, more silence. Silence is the language of God. Am I making sense?
Completely. Yeah, completely. And you offer the medicine.
Yes, it's a very sweet tasting medicine too.
Mm-hmm. Because this is like when we become servants again of our soul. So when our minds become servants of our soul, we as a human species become servants of the unknown one and also of the planet, then everything will fall into peace, yeah?
Because there'll be no self to defend or protect, because you will be so connected and you will realize then everything is for me.
Everything is?
Everything is for you.
Yeah.
I call it, and I offer this as an image to my friends who are listening. How would it feel now if you were to walk through life with a fearless, radiant heart?
Yeah.
That would transform your reality, your direct experience of life with a fearless, radiant heart. That would transform everything around you. Because love is the creative power. I'm not talking about sentimental love or emotional love. I'm talking about universal love, transpersonal love. And that would be your safety. When you have anything from outer space coming towards your planet, it burns up when it makes contact with the Earth's atmosphere. It's the same that if you are radiating that energy, the fearless, radiant heart, anything that might come towards you to harm you will just go in the opposite direction, or it'll dissolve as it meets contact with your radiance, your atmosphere.
That's so beautiful, and this power lies inside everyone, yeah?
And there's a power that sees the beauty in people, that wants to empower people. There's a very beautiful story about a lady who she called herself the Peace Pilgrim. And she just wandered from town to town with a message of peace. And one evening she was walking down a rather dark street. She was a little bit nervous. She said, "Oh, dear God, please send me somebody to protect me." And suddenly, out of the shadows came a man waving a knife. He wanted to kill her. And she said, "Oh, thank God you're here. You're just exactly what I answered for. You're my prayer answered. Thank you. You come to look after me." And the man was so surprised he became her bodyguard with a positive role, which nobody had ever seen before. She
Same
couldn't.
energy directed in another direction. It's
Exactly. She saw that he was an answer to a prayer and empowered him with a positive role in life, something he'd never seen before because he believed he was bad and he was going to do a bad thing. But she said it with such authority, such clarity, that he just said, "Okay, fine, yes, I'll be with you, I'll look after you." That's a true story.
wow.
Not many people know it. But it can work in any situation when you empower people with the truth and the beauty that is within them.
Hmm. It reminds me of one of the stories that's in the book that contains your channelings, and it's about the Christ. It's how can I awaken the Christ in me? And then the answer is by seeing it in others, because it takes one to see one. And then it goes on like by seeing it, you awaken it in someone else's heart, and it's like this sentiment, yeah.
Exactly. It happens by contagion.
Yeah.
And
What
sometimes,
power.
in a very beautiful way, somebody may say to you, "Oh, funny, I always feel much better when I've been with you." That's because they're inhaling the perfume of the rose. They're enjoying the frequency of your presence, which raises them up.
Mm.
Other than that Jesus said, I will raise all men up unto me. What he meant was the I am, that is my presence, will raise everybody up to the same level as the presence of me.
Mm.
That's what presence does. It raises people up. And everybody wants it. Everybody's hungry for it.
Yeah.
To come along and in some magical way to lift them up, to raise them up out of their darkness, out of their pain, out of their fear.
And it immediately gives you a sense of purpose when you know and you remember that this is inside in your power.
Exactly. But there comes a moment, of course, where you don't even have to remind yourself it just happens automatically. Once
Mm.
perfume is released, it can never be switched off. Even if you're having a bad day, you may be standing behind somebody in the queue at the supermarket. There's somebody who feels ill or sad or depressed, and they leave feeling better. Why? Because you've been standing behind them. Maybe you were feeling bad yourself, but your presence is more powerful than what is taking place in your personality. That never switches off.
Wow.
That is the I am. That is the eternal you.
Mm-hmm.
And once it's activated, that's it.
Mm.
It's on forever.
Mm. That's beautiful. And like a rose, it just does not stop giving its scent.
It does not stop giving. You can't see it, you can't bottle it, you can't photograph it, you can't hold it, but it's there. It's that
Mm.
indefinable quality. That is the truth. It is the God self radiating from you.
Mm.
It is the peace. And peace is the foundation stone of everything. Not love. Love comes from peace. Joy comes from peace. Which is why when Jesus said goodbye to his disciples for the last time before he was taken away, he didn't say, my love I leave with you, or even my joy I leave with you. He said, my peace I leave with you. That's how you would know him. That's how people will know the divine in you, because of the peace they feel.
Mm.
Not because you're going to rush up to them and give them a big hug, but the peace they feel, the frequency of peace, the peace
Mm.
which all understanding.
Amazing. So, White Bull, a part of these conversations are heart songs, and it's a song that will come in the moment, and I feel the energy building up a bit. So, I've got my guitar here, and I will open up for a song and for words that are going to come through. So, please sit with me, and then I will share this song with gratitude.
With great gratitude that I want to express how wonderful it has been for me to communicate to you and to your friends.
Mm.
Hope that my words will have found a place of resonance in their hearts and minds too.
Well, it's amazingly beautiful. So please stay around a bit, and
Can't
maybe
get
you
rid
can also whisper some words, and I will sing them. Like a flower fills the open air, moves everywhere. There is no distance, so you can touch the heart of all. Any soul will be awakened whisper gently, move freely, touch the heart of all, and the love you hold will flower like a rose in the bloom, like a flower touches all and you open up to the great loving heavenly source, and remember to what is only and truly yours. Remember all of the glory and all of the light that you spread with your being, and that you can shine and reawaken all of the hearts. Say, I am the glory of the heart. I am the glory we all are. Let it spread widely, choose wisely, and create your own way by listening within to the song that sings that you want to bring. You are one in all, you are one in all. And by being who you are, you spread light inside your heart. Time to wake up, this glorious rose of love. White Boo, I want to thank you for being here and for inspiring me with this song. And well, thank you so very much for using Ian as a channel and spreading the vibes of love and peace to so many hearts. Thank you.
And I want to thank you also, dear one, and to all who have joined in this gathering, and to say that I leave you with so much love from all of us. We are many, it's not just me. We are many, but we are one spirit. In our prayer for you and in the vision we hold for you of your true freedom. Freedom from everything that stands between you and your perfect good, that will then lead you to that place of everlasting peace. And that out of the peace will come an endless joy and a perfect and eternal love. Love to you. I say, God be with you.
You're back.
I'm back, I think, yeah. Yeah.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. You must sense some. Well, you must always sense some energy. It was really filled with
Yeah.
beautiful energy
Oh, good. I'm very happy.
and
Yeah.
beautiful, 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 inspiring words again. So thank you very much, Ian.
I look forward to listening well to your song. I just came up, did it? It was inspired. It just,
Yeah, that came up out of the conversation and out of the energy that was there. So that was yeah, came in the moment. Yeah.
thank you so much.
Mhm.
Great.
Thank
Okay.
you too, Ian. Thanks a lot. Is there some way that people can find you? Can I share your website? What would
Yes.
you say? What would you advise?
Yeah, my website. Yeah. Then you'll hear all about, you can read all about me and about how the sessions work and about the books. There's another book also, which information about that there, and that's the best thing.
Yeah, yeah, I do really recommend to really buy this. If you're listening, if you're English, there's of course an English version, and I guess
No, there isn't. No.
there is not. Oh,
I think you can buy it secondhand. There's a Portuguese version. Well, I don't know about the Russian version, whether it's still available. A German version, a Lithuanian version, Latvian, Estland,
wow.
Italian.
Okay, okay, great.
That
Well, most
link.
listeners will be Dutch, so I do recommend it. It's really, really beautiful. It's got so many beautiful insights, and it's just radiating yeah, beauty.
There's another book also called Er is niets wonderbaarlijks aan een wonder, but the
Mm,
details on my website, and that's just a little sayings of my book.
yeah. Website is what's the website?
So it is mankindkindman.org.
Yeah, I will place the link, of course, everywhere I put the interview, so people can just click on it. But mankindkindman.org. Great, great. Thank you so much, Ian, for this wonderful conversation.